Welcome to The Kingdom Sleeps, the fantasy bedtime story decided by the roll of a dice. My name's Andrew, I'll be your story master for this evening.
And I'm Orla, and I'll be playing the role of Nina.
Now, Orla, before we get into tonight's story, I was wondering if you could let us know a little bit more about the character of Steph, your grandfather. What is Nina's relationship to Steph?
Oh, that's a big question. Steph is really the cornerstone of Nina's whole world. He was probably the first adult that made Nina feel really seen. Certainly in Nina's eyes, the wisest person that ever lived. Steph is someone of infinite depth. He has 100 things on his mind, so he will tell you about anything. But there's another side of him that is more closed, more secretive. I think the duality of that is exciting for Nina. Just a huge role model for her, both in the kindness that he has shown her, and his reverence for life.
Yes, he's certainly very idiosyncratic and deep character that is a pleasure to portray, and I look forward to learning more about Steph as Nina's story continues.
Me too.
Just a reminder to everyone that if you're watching and enjoying the show, please don't forget to like, subscribe, comment on the video, and if you'd like to support the podcast further, you can check out our Patreon, where the link is in the description. But now, make yourselves comfortable and join us where the kingdom sleeps. Nina will find herself now standing on the narrow dirt path just outside of her home in Lark's Grove. A gentle, refreshing breeze making its way through the air, and beautiful, shimmering, dappled light on the floor ahead of her, filtering through the trees she is surrounded by. On either side of her, short wooden fences made of woven twigs that resemble wicker baskets. On one side, the trees she is familiar with, trees of Lark's Grove. On the other side, tall, looming, crooked trees with small, pointed, needle-like leaves, dark in colour, dense and numerous. Those she knows to be of the Whispering Forest, a place most people do not go, a place she is actively encouraged to avoid. But for now, Nina stands on the path in between these two woods. Her faithful, furry friend Cosy resting upon her shoulder, a backpack full of some provisions, some snacks for the day, and a letter she's written to her father. What is going through Nina's mind in this moment?
As Nina takes her first steps away from Lark's Grove, walking down the beaten track, she feels the weight of the items in her pocket, the letter for her father, and the totem. Overhead, the trees, one side light, the other darker, sharper, seem to almost meet overhead on this path. And she can't help but think about the two very separate worlds in which she's lived. And as she's walking down this path, she's wondering perhaps about the places that those two worlds meet. Maybe at the market, or I guess somehow through her Opa Steph, the threads of his life, bringing together the Grove and the Artisans Guild in his past. She, feeling the warmth of Kota around her shoulders, picks another nut from her apron and offers it to him. Often he likes to scamper ahead and run up the trees, but he was up early this morning and she can feel that. So she gives him the nut, scratching behind his small ear.
Kota is grateful in equal measure for the small bit of affection by the scratch behind the ear and the well-needed snack presented to him. And while simultaneously nuzzling up against your finger, snatches the nut somewhat greedily and begins devouring it immediately. As you watch Kota enjoying himself thoroughly, just up ahead on the path, emerging from around the corner, someone is approaching you. Someone you'll immediately see is dressed in the attire of the Guardians Guild. They are covered in shining plates of metal. They hold a long spear-like weapon, quite tightly to their side, and seem to be moving with some pace. And almost as soon as you have recognized them, they recognize you and begin to move quickly in your direction, calling towards you at some distance. You now see this tall, broad-shouldered woman has a very serious look on their face. You there, halt.
Yes, ma'am.
Just along this path. Have you encountered anyone?
No one at all.
She looks at you with a furrowed brow, a glint of suspicion in her eye. No one at all?
No, I'm just coming from Lark's Grove. Not 10 minutes from here.
Have you witnessed anything potentially unusual in the path?
No, nothing at all. It's completely normal. I think Nina feels her heart racing, her palms growing sweaty, and she reminds herself that she's not done anything wrong. Feeling the warmth of Kota on her shoulder, she takes a deep breath.
This woman looks as if she's peering into your very soul with the sternness of her eyes. She looks over to Kota. This is your animal?
Yes, this is Kota, a friend. Not just any animal, a good friend.
You have them under control?
Well, they control themselves most of the time, but yes, under control.
Very, very dangerous, a grinder, if left unchecked. You do make sure that, well, they're not running haphazard. I presume you're heading into town?
Yes, heading into town. I've got a letter. But they're well behaved. This one's well behaved.
She looks at you slightly on that murmured word. Lets it go. Suddenly observing her surroundings very keenly. You say you live 10 minutes from here?
Yes, ma'am. At Lark's Grove. The big orchard at the end of the road?
Yes, I know it. There's been an incident in town. We are pursuing someone who, well, should have been very nearby.
Are they dangerous?
Hopefully not. But
Then why are they being pursued?
they have committed a great crime. A crime I cannot divulge to you at this time. But it is integral that they are found. They have also made off with an item of great importance to the kingdom.
And what item is that?
Once again, this is information I cannot divulge to you.
Yes, ma'am.
However, should you witness anything unusual in the area, report it immediately.
Yes, absolutely. And Kota here has a great sense of smell, so if there's anything untoward, I'll be sure to let you know.
And she looks at Kota quite disparagingly. Yes, I'm sure he does. Well, carry on.
Have a nice day.
And the woman's almost taken aback by this. Sort of stops in their tracks as they're just about to leave. Cranes their head over and says, "Oh, yes. You too." And continues to move at a walk, but a very quick and almost anxious walk back down the path where you've just come from.
Does she seem to be going in the direction of the grove or back where she came from?
She's going in the direction of the grove.
I think there's a moment where Nina walks forward, perhaps just out of sight of this woman. And I think she'll turn to Kota. What do you say about running back through the forest, maybe on the other side, and maybe just going to tell Opa that, I don't know, that lady's coming. You think you could do that? I take a nut, another one, out of my apron.
You see Kota's eyes searching yours desperately, as if trying to discern what it is you're asking him to do, and as you bring out this nut, his eyes widen. He once again grabs onto it, but doesn't eat it immediately. Looks back up at you, once again searching you for the meaning of your words.
And Nina will proceed to do a small mime of her grandfather, showing him with more of a hunched back, walking, indicating his glasses, pointing towards the grove, in the way that she sometimes urgently communicates with Kota.
And after presenting this pictorial mime of Steph and the grove, his eyes are darting back and forth, watching you make all these motions, and once again gives this little shuddering nod that you take as affirmative from Kota, and putting the nut in his mouth without eating it, but as a means of carrying it forward, he leaps from you onto the ground and scampers in the direction of the grove.
I meant through the forest. Oh, damn. Nina will just take a deep breath. These things are hard to communicate. And hope that he doesn't scare this guardian woman for fear of Kota's small life. But she will continue on her path. It's a long walk and Kota's fast. So hopefully by the time she gets closer to the village, he'll be back.
Well, with this hope in mind, you carry on down the path, and as you say, it is quite a long walk, but it's a pleasant one. And the day is fine. The sun is shining. The warmth on your skin. The air is very fresh. And there is an abundance of interesting insects that are making themselves known this time of year, fluttering by you as you walk along the path, weaving in and out of the trees. Mamu occasionally following in their wake. And so it doesn't feel long before you arrive in the small hamlet of buildings that makes up the nearest village to Lark's Grove. What looks like 4 or 5 living huts, dwellings of people, and 3 large buildings that you know to be places to buy provisions, grocers, handy workers, and of course, post office. And as you make your way into the centre of these hamlets, you'll notice an elderly lady sat outside presenting fruits of her labour, several lush-looking vegetables she seems to have grown herself. You'll see a small group of children outside one of the dwellings, running and chasing each other. Again, a few floating mamu following them in the wake of their serpentine movement, seemingly attracted to their giggling and laughter. What does Nina do once entering into the hamlet?
I think the first thing that Nina does is, seeing the other people here, she'll remember her shoes that are slung across her backpack. She doesn't wear them often, but she must wear them in the village. That's what Steph says. So, somewhat begrudgingly, she slips them on before making her way over to the older woman who is selling vegetables.
So, sliding your shoes on and heading towards this hunched over elderly Dwergar woman, you notice that her eyes brighten as you approach, and you notice her quickly look down to her presented vegetables to make sure they are looking as neat and orderly as they can, and then looks back up to you with a bright smile. Good morning.
Good day, how are you?
Oh yes, very well. The sun is out.
Fine day for selling.
Absolutely. I was very impressed myself with what managed to come out this harvest time. Please, feel free to take a look and feel if you must.
Yes, absolutely. Wow, they look great. She'll take what looks to be similar to a cucumber, turn it over in her hand, maybe smelling it slightly. Perfectly ripe.
Yes, indeed.
Well, I was wondering if you have anything good for a soup. What would you recommend?
A soup? Yes. Well, I'm a great believer in, I think you could use anything in a soup, really, if you needed to, but, you're looking for something, particular, I see in your eye.
Well, these all look great. I was wondering if you had any plump beans. I was thinking of making either a soup or a stew, or one of the two.
Plump beans, yes, I do. Wait for me for one moment.
Sure.
And she, moves away from her stand and heads into the building just behind her. And you're waiting some moments before she returns, and she's got a small wooden punnet in her hands, and it's covered in a small cloth. And she's looking rather sad, a little bit downtrodden when she returns. And she comes over to you, wobbling slightly as she goes, and quite gently uncovers the punnet to present to you some not so plump-looking plump beans. As this is not something that I had out on display, I'm afraid they didn't turn out so well this year. I think you'll find that perhaps they have quite a lot of flavor still, quite nutritious, but not so plump. I would be happy to give you a discount.
Oh, that's real kind. Honestly, I think this is going to be a fun challenge. I've never replumped a bean before, but there's no time like the present. And I'm thinking if they're in some sort of a soup or stew, they might pull in some of that moisture, so yes, I'll take them.
Yes, you could be right. Sure, well, let me wrap them up for you. And she just bends beneath her stool to pick up some much nicer looking sort of gingham wrap that she puts over top the punnet, and she hands it over to you, saying, as that will just be 5 marks.
5 marks, sure. Well, I have 5 marks. Nina will reach into her pouch and pull out her purse. Well, I have the 5 marks, or if you would rather, I have some fresh sun pears. Completely up to you. I could pay you in sun pears, or I could pay you in marks. The ones we have at the moment are really juicy, though you maybe already have enough provisions.
And you see her face begin to look a little bit coy as she tries to almost suppress a smile as you say these words. Well, perhaps I could have a look at these sun pears first?
Sure. Nina will take her pack off her back and take the 6 sun pears that she had brought for her lunch today, not intending to trade them, but present them to the woman.
And as she picks them from your hands and inspects them rather thoroughly, sort of gently squeezing their perimeter and bringing them up to her nose for a gentle sniff. Yes, these seem to be very acceptable specimens of sun pears. Why don't we say these sun pears plus a mark in exchange?
I look at the woman for a moment and just try to gauge if she's being honest, or if perhaps she's not being honest. Does she maybe need a little bit extra money? Is she struggling? Because Nina has experienced her fair share of harsh seasons when the harvest maybe didn't go quite as planned. So, yeah. What does she see?
Could you please roll me both an insight and a perception check, please?
Is 18 for insight? and only 6 for perception.
With your insight, you can tell that this woman is not being honest with you. You can tell that she is attempting to goad a higher price from you, though the look on her face does not look as if she is necessarily trying to trick you. But you can see that she knows she's not necessarily being fair, but it's hard to discern quite what her intentions are. Your perception tells you this woman looks tired. Looks very tired.
Well, hopefully with this extra mark and some juicy sun pears, she will be able to get that rest she needs. And I hand over the pears and the mark. Deal.
And a smile begins to bubble up across her face. Now perceiving almost as if she really didn't expect you to agree to such terms, but she very happily and heartily takes the sunbears and lines them up in a row just behind her stool, taking the mark from you and looking you in the eye. Thank you. Thank you for this.
No problem at all. They make a excellent crumble.
Crumble, yes. I will remember that. And she tucks the mark away, little top pocket of her jacket. Well, that certainly has made my day. Tell me, was it just for some vegetables that you came into town?
And to post a letter. So that's where I'm gonna head now.
Oh, good.
But it was lovely to meet you.
Yes, and you. I swear must have seen you around a few times before, though I don't think we have ever properly met.
I'm Nina, and I reach a hand over to shake hers.
And she very happily stretches hers out as well. Hello, I'm Chloe.
Chloe, lovely to meet you.
Pleasure. Well, don't be a stranger.
Oh, I won't. And you too. I'm living just down on Lark's Grove, and if you like those sun pears, there's plenty more down where we are.
Ah, these are Steph's sun pears.
Yes. First ones of the season.
Amazing. Then they are likely to be very good.
I can assure you they are.
Thank you, Nina.
Well, have a good day.
You too. Good luck.
Bye.
Bye. And, you can see her overjoyed by the interaction, almost uncertain what to do with herself. Such a lovely meeting as you walk away. And where is Nina heading now?
Nina, glancing back over her shoulder towards the forest, is starting to get a little bit worried about Kota and where he might be, what he might be getting up to, hoping that he hadn't encountered that guardian again. But he's grown. He's a grown Grida and he can look after himself. So she will turn and head towards the post office.
with that small worry in the back of her mind, Nina heads into a rather large, boxy, wooden shelter of sorts that is the post office in this village. Quite a stuffy room, extremely functional, lined with many pigeonholed shelves filled with parcels and letters behind this long desk, at which a reasonably young, fey gentleman, probably around the same age as Nina, quite a thin and somewhat nervous looking man, in this very moment looking somewhat bored. This is a gentleman named Bellami, and is someone Nina is familiar with, having posted several letters before. And whilst they are not extremely close, they are at least on a names basis, and have some courtesy to each other. But Bellamy has not noticed Nina as she enters. He appears to be staring at a particular spot on the wooden desk, with his head leaning on one hand and his elbow leaning on the desk, and just absent-mindedly tapping two fingers into this spot at which he stares and stares.
Nina will, even though the door is open, knock on it to let him know that someone is here. Morning, Bellamy. It's me, Nina.
Oh, and suddenly brought back into reality by your sharp knocks and the sound of your voice at the door, somewhat dusts off his eyes a little bit and looks to you and the bright light outside to the comparative sort of dim, dusty light inside. Sorry, Nina, I didn't see you there. How are you?
Oh, I'm good, thanks. How are you?
Yeah, fine. Not much going on.
Yeah, I can't imagine being stuffed up here all day. No offense meant. I'm sure it's a good job.
No, it's not.
No.
But, it's Father's business, so I'll be taking over the place someday. Better get used to, looking over everything.
Yes, I understand there's a lot of responsibility.
Yeah, a lot.
I bet you're smart to be taking over a whole business.
Well, I do okay at school. Yeah. I mean, it's maybe not exactly what I would have done if I had the choice, but but hey, sometimes you don't have a choice.
Yeah. Sometimes you don't. Well,
Oh, you must have a letter. Sorry.
Yes, I have a letter. It's going all the way to Moriwald.
Moriwald
Again. Yeah, again.
Yeah, no problem. Sorry, there's no return post yet.
Nothing? And not for Steph Larks?
No, we had 2 or 3 letters come in this week, really. But nothing else, just other places.
Well, at least I'm keeping you in business.
Yeah, you sure are, actually. And he takes the letter.
She hands it over, somewhat embarrassed at the scrawl of an address across the front.
Bellami takes a look at the address and sort of furrows his brow slightly at the glyphs. And instead of putting it in a pigeonhole behind him, you notice that he sort of just tucks it into a small hollow underneath the desk right next to him. I'll get that sent off.
Bellamy, just out of curiosity, how do the letters get to Moriwald?
Oh, well, basically, these pigeonholes, they're all marked regions of Morrowind, and and then there's this section here which is anything outside of the region, and then we just sort of filter them through, and then we work with some royal council providers, and some of them post letters when they come through, and then sometimes if we're really busy, we get people who just work ad hoc, and they come and post the letters for us if there's a lot, and they'll just sort of be individual transit.
Bellamy, is it possible for a letter to get lost? And how would I know if it gets lost?
I mean, it's pretty unlikely that letters would be lost, that it's professionals that deal with it.
Yes.
But it could. And you can see a small spark in his face as you look down to the ground. It might be possible. I mean, sometimes you can't trust these guys. I mean, they might, get lost themselves, or just throw them away and pretend they delivered them for the money.
Throw 'em away?
Maybe. Who knows?
And is there a way to make sure? I trust you, Bellamy. Maybe you could make sure it gets to the right place?
I could try my best. I guess the best people for it would be private carriers, because
Private.
Yeah. Maybe I could find a private carrier for your letter. It would cost a bit more.
How much do you think it would cost?
You want to make sure it gets there?
Yes, please.
About 8 marks.
8 marks. She will take out the remaining 4 marks from her purse. I only have 4. But what if I owe you a boon?
What kind of boon?
I've got a lot of fruit. If you need, I could get you something special. Maybe before it even goes to market.
Yeah. One time Steph brought some some cherries into town. They had like a crackle in them.
Snappers. I could get you some snappers, for sure. But I tell you what, Bellami. Next month, or even in a few weeks now, will be the beginning of the harvest season. And, well, sometimes Steph takes some people in to work on the farm. And I could tell him that maybe he could speak to your dad about, getting some other experience for your management or something. Could get you out of here for a few weeks.
Work on the orchard.
Yeah, and it's great. We've got good cider, and the work hours are actually quite short because there's so many hands normally, and we have dances in the evening sometimes.
Wow.
It's my favorite time of the season.
That sounds fun. I mean, I'll be honest, Nina, I'm dying to get out of this room.
Nina looks around. I don't blame you. 5 minutes in here and I already want to leave.
I don't know how my dad would feel about that.
Well, Steph is a persuasive man and might be worth a shot.
Yeah, I'd like that. Maybe even just for a little while.
Deal.
Okay, deal.
I reach out a hand over the desk, standing on my tippy toes to reach over.
And he leans forward to meet you and shakes your hand. I'll still need those 4 marks though.
Oh, yes, of course. She dips into her purse and counts 1, 2, 3, 4.
He sort of slides them across the wooden table and opens up a small latched box, inside which they go very quickly back under the desk. Okay. So Carrie's come, and then, well, I'll get him to take your letter. And then he signs a letter to say that he's taken the letter, and then they get the person on the other end to sign to say that they got the letter, and then they bring the letter back here. So when they bring the letter back here, I'll give it to you, and then you'll know they got it.
Great. Very grateful, Bellami. Thank you.
Of course. You won't forget, will you?
No, I won't forget. In fact, I will write it down on a piece of paper when I'm home.
Good. Write it down, clearly. And he sort of vaguely gestures to your letter and the glyphs on the front.
Yes, we'll practice those. Bye, Bellami.
Bye, Nina. Good to see you.
Good to see you too. And she'll scamper out the door.
So as Nina makes her way out of the dimly lit post office, back into the bright, open hamlet, feeling that fresh air rejuvenate her somewhat from what felt like quite a long time in that dark space. And just as her eyes begin to adjust, she notices a fast-moving creature from the path where she came. Kota moving rapidly towards her. And as he gets closer, she'll notice he holds something in his mouth. What looks like a flailing piece of fabric.
Oh no.
and he arrives at your feet with this white and blue embroidered piece of fabric that looks as if it were torn out of perhaps a larger sheet. Or perhaps an item of clothing. And along the centre of it, some kind of black stain that looks indistinct unless you were to take a closer look.
I will reach down as Coda is running towards me, open my arms. He often likes to scamper up and jump into my arms. And then carefully coax the piece of material from his mouth.
Opening your arms up, he, as he often does, readily scampers up your arm and over to your shoulder. And you have a very short-lived tug of war as you try to tentatively remove this fabric from his mouth, and almost reflexively he tries to keep it with him before, almost as if he realizes suddenly that he did in fact bring this fabric for you and lets go willingly.
Thank you, Coda. And I turn it over in my hand.
Roll me an arcane check, please.
That's a 6.
Looking at this piece of fabric more closely, you will immediately notice that it does look like it is most likely from an item of clothing. The black smudge across its center is vaguely iridescent. It almost looks like thick, dark oil of some kind. But its consistency is that of something unlike you've encountered. It's almost like sun pear jam. But not quite.
She will try to smell it and see, is there anything familiar? I think the biggest worry on Nina's mind is that this piece of cloth could be from the Guardian that they had passed earlier on the road. She has a nightmare vision of Kota.
I think upon a small bit of reflection, from what Nina remembers of the Guardian, she can quickly be sure that it was not from their clothing.
Phew.
But please roll me, if you intend to smell the item, a perception check with advantage.
Sorry.
19.
Quick math.
Alright. Can you please roll me a wisdom saving throw?
19.
As you bring this piece of fabric to your nose and inhale, you smell nothing. But your mind is filled with a flash of the worst of people, the bitterness of feeling that one might get when they are betrayed. It is a feeling of deep unkindness, dishonesty, and cowardliness that seems to spiral and coil to the center of your mind in a flash and is gone. And you suddenly once again feel yourself.
Nina will drop the cloth, backing back away from it, looking from Kota back to the cloth. Where did you get this?
Kota curves himself round so that his eyes are facing yours, listening to what you're saying. He gives that small affirmative shake and leaps to the ground, running ahead of you, stopping just briefly to check that you follow, and then continues down the path.
As I move to follow him, I would like to first very quickly pull a empty jam jar from my bag, and almost like trapping a bug, I will put the jam jar over this piece of cloth, sealing it up tight, and stuff it in my bag before breaking into a run after Kota.
And sealing it up tight in the jam jar, hastily putting it back in your bag, you follow Kota back down the path and towards the forest.